Welcome to NEXION, where mysteries of the world are unraveled through stories that blend history, crime, and the unexplained. If you are fascinated by unsolved mysteries, hidden truths, and the shadows that linger in human history, you are in the right place. Today, we step into the chilling world of one of America's most notorious and puzzling killers, a phantom who taunted the police, mocked the press, and carved his name into criminal history through cryptic letters and terrifying crimes. This is the story of the Zodiac Killer. Letters from a Ghost. In the late 1960s, Northern California was alive with cultural change. The summer of love had just swept San Francisco. Peace movements were flourishing, and young people gathered in parks with flowers in their hair. But hidden beneath this surface of optimism, another story was unfolding, one drenched in fear and written in blood. From the dark back roads of Vallejo to the bustling streets of San Francisco, a killer moved silently, unseen yet constantly present. He called himself the Zodiac, and with each crime, he left behind more than just bodies. He left letters, riddles, and a symbol that would haunt investigators for decades. The Zodiac story is not just about murder, it is about communication. Unlike other killers who vanish into silence, Zodiac craved attention. He needed an audience, and through newspapers, cryptograms, and taunting notes, he ensured the world would never forget him. These letters were more than confessions. They were psychological warfare, turning the media into his stage and the public into his unwilling spectators. The first murders. December 20th, 1968. On a cold December night in 1968, David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, parked their car along Lake Herman Road, a remote lover's lane near Vallejo, California. It was supposed to be an innocent teenage date. What followed instead became the Zodiac's opening act. Both were shot at close range with a small caliber weapon. Investigators were baffled. There was no robbery, no apparent motive, just execution. In that moment, the Zodiac's first known victims were claimed. At the time, police did not connect this murder to anything larger. But 7 months later, the story took a terrifying turn. Blue Rock Springs. July 4th, 1969. It was Independence Day, 1969. Darlene Farron, 22, and Michael Mago, 19, drove to Blue Rock Springs Park. As they sat in their car, another vehicle pulled alongside. The driver stepped out, armed with a flashlight and a pistol. Darlene fired multiple shots, but Michael survived. Wounded but alive. For the first time, police had a witness. Mago described his attacker as a man in his late 20s or early 30s, stocky, with short brown hair. And then came the phone call. An anonymous man called Vallejo Police Department to report the crime. His calm voice confessed, "I want to report a double murder. If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They have been shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye." This was the moment authorities realized they were facing not just a killer, but a predator who wanted recognition. The letters begin. July 31st, 1969. On July 31st, 1969, 3 Bay Area newspapers, the Vallejo Times-Herald, San Francisco Examiner, and San Francisco Chronicle, received nearly identical letters. Each was typed with crude spelling errors and signed with a mysterious crosshair symbol, a circle with a cross through it. Inside was a cipher, 1/3 of a 408-character puzzle. The killer demanded the papers print his ciphers on their front pages, threatening more violence if they refused. The San Francisco Examiner letter began chillingly. "Dear editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl last 4th of July. To prove this, here is part of the code. Print this cipher, or I will go on a killing rampage Friday night." The newspapers complied, and soon the Zodiac's cryptic puzzles were in the public's hands. The first cipher cracked. August 8th, 1969. A week later, a school teacher named Donald Hardin and his wife Betty cracked the cipher. What it revealed shocked the world. "I like killing people because it is so much fun, ... It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of all, ... I will be reborn in paradise, and all those I have killed will become my slaves." The cipher confirmed his delight in killing, but it withheld his true identity. At the bottom, he had written, "I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." The Zodiac had spoken. He was not just killing for pleasure. He believed he was building an army for eternity. This is the Zodiac speaking. On August 7th, 1969, another letter arrived at the San Francisco Examiner. It began with a phrase that became infamous. "This is the Zodiac speaking." For the first time, the killer had given himself a name. That phrase, along with his crosshair symbol, became his signature. Every letter after would begin the same way, as if he were a celebrity addressing his audience. Lake Berryessa, September 27, 1969. On a warm September afternoon, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard picnicked near Lake Berryessa. A man approached wearing an eerie black executioner-style hood with the Zodiac symbol stitched across his chest. Armed with a gun and a long knife, he tied the couple with rope and stabbed them repeatedly. Hartnell survived. Cecilia died 2 days later. Before leaving, the killer scrawled a message on Hartnell's car door: Vallejo 1220 687 469. It was a signed confession at the scene. 27 Presidio Heights, 6:30 October 11th, 1969. Less than 2 weeks later, the Zodiac struck in San Francisco. The killer cut a piece of Stine's bloody shirt, a taxi driver, and later mailed it to the San Francisco Chronicle as proof of his deed. "I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning." The letter that followed: "Shoot out the front tire, then pick off school children and make nice targets." Panic spread across the Bay Area. The Zodiac had turned fear into his weapon. The 340 cipher and 2020 parents clutched their children tighter. In November 1969, Zodiac sent a new cipher, the infamous Z340 340 symbols of cryptic madness. For over 50 years, it resisted every attempt at decryption. Only in 2020 was it finally cracked by a trio of amateur code breakers from the US, Australia, and Belgium. The message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. ... I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner, because I now have enough slaves to work for me. ... Again, he bragged, he taunted, but he revealed nothing of who he was. The suspects and endless theories. Dozens of suspects have been proposed. Arthur Lee Allen was long considered a prime suspect. He owned a Zodiac brand watch, lived near the crime scenes, and was described as disturbing by acquaintances. Yet no conclusive evidence ever tied him to the crimes. In 2021, an investigative group claimed a man named Gary Francis Post was the Zodiac, citing hidden names and ciphers and alleged physical similarities. Over the years, countless letters were mailed, some likely hoaxes, police agencies, others possibly unconvinced, but none revealed the ultimate truth. The Zodiac's mask remains intact. Legacy of fear and fascination. The Zodiac Killer is more than just an unsolved case. He is an enduring ghost in American history. His story has inspired films like Zodiac, 2007 books, podcasts, and countless documentaries. His ciphers are studied in classrooms and computer labs alike, blending crime with cryptography. Yet, despite technological advances, DNA testing, and digital sleuthing, one fact remains: no one has ever been conclusively identified as the Zodiac. Conclusion: letters from a ghost. More than 50 years later, the Zodiac Killer is remembered not just for his murders, but for his words. His letters turned newspapers into his megaphone and the public into his terrified audience. He wanted immortality, and in a way, he achieved it. The man himself may have vanished, but his words remain. Puzzles scratched on yellowed paper, taunts carved into the collective memory of America, letters written by a ghost, haunting us still. Outro for NEXION. This was the Zodiac Killer. Letters from a Ghost. If you found this story as chilling as we did, make sure to subscribe to NEXION for more deep dives into the mysteries that shape our world. Because sometimes, the scariest stories aren't fiction. They're history,